Hello, and welcome to the first episode of my Minecraft weapon guide. In this episode, the sword. A bladed melee weapon, evolving from the dagger in the Bronze Age. While bladed instruments are not unique to Minecraft, they are nonetheless an important part of your arsenal. The sword is a craftable weapon, used to damage mobs, other players, and entities, as well as to block attacks. With survival being the name of the game, in any mode outside of peaceful, the sword is absolutely essential, as well as the raw materials required for assembling your weapon. Swords can be made out of 5 different materials, each with their own unique durability and damage stats. To fashion yourself a sword in-game, you will require a crafting table, a wooden stick for your hilt, and the desired material for your blade, crossguard, and the decorative end of your hilt. After crafting sticks from wooden planks, consequently recreated out of raw wood from the abundant trees, you'll need to place them in a vertical row on the left-hand side of your crafting table, with the stick in the lowest quadrant, and the 2 desired material of your blade type stacked above it. Swords can be used to both damage mobs and other players, or to block incoming attacks. Upon damaging a mob or player, the sword's durability will decrease, eventually breaking once exhausted. The sword's durability, as well as the amount of damage inflicted on your target, will depend on the material your sword is made of. A wooden sword, for instance, will provide you 60 useful actions, inflicting 5 points of damage per strike, or 2.5 hearts of damage to an unarmored target, with a lifetime of damage inflicted between 150 and 240 hearts of damage, barring critical hits and without any enchantments. The stone sword will provide 132 useful actions with 6 points of damage, an iron sword even better at 251 useful actions and 7 points of damage, and a diamond sword will grant you a vastly superior 1562 useful actions and 8 points of damage. A golden sword, however, is the least durable of the sword variations, with only 33 useful actions and inflicting damage on par with the wooden sword, providing no benefits from the use of a rare resource, and thus making it the least useful of the sword variations. While some of these discrepancies may seem very minimal, such as the iron sword and the stone swords, which kill most mobs with the same amount of hits, the difference in damage is much larger than the numbers may imply. A diamond sword will guarantee a kill of nearly any unarmored aggressive mob, despite only inflicting 1 extra point of damage than its iron counterpart. And dealing with situations where your life hangs in the balance, you'll want to dispose of enemies in as few hits as possible. In regards to the difference in durability, a longer lasting weapon will ensure that you will have to scavenge for materials and craft them less frequently, saving precious time that could be the difference between survival and an untimely death. Unless a player engages in combat very frequently, the swords in general will see a far longer useful life than other tools constantly being used for excavating a mine or gathering materials. This makes the use of rare resources such as diamonds or enchantments more optimal to use on your sword, as it will last you longer and at times be more vital to your survival. Despite its appearance, the sword grants no range advantage over any other tool, including bare hands. While the sword is your most effective tool at both dealing out melee damage and blocking attacks, it will prove quite difficult to match the power of a bow and arrow at ranges not immediately within your reach. An effective approach against an opponent equipped for long-range combat such as the skeleton is to bridge the gap between you and your enemy, all the while making use of your speed, natural terrain, and foliage to conceal yourself better as a target. While primarily an offensive tool, the sword does find other uses in-game. A sword can be used to dismantle certain blocks more quickly than with fists or with other tools at your disposal when the proper one is not available. The sword can be used to break jack-o'-lanterns, melons, pumpkins, cocoa, leaves, and vines at a quicker pace than you can by hand, albeit by fractions of a second. And when dealing with cobwebs, the sword is your best tool at hand, breaking them down in 0.4 seconds, 50 times faster than it would be by hand. It is important to note, however, that the use of your sword on any block that does not break instantly decreases its durability by the equivalent of 2 strikes to a mob, much how the durability of other tools will diminish twice as fast when attacking enemies. If you find your sword supply diminished, it is important to note that some mobs may occasionally drop a sword as well. Zombies have a small chance of dropping an iron sword, while a zombie pigman may drop a golden sword and a wither skeleton a stone sword. Employing basic fighting tactics might improve your chances at engaging hostiles with minimal damage to yourself. When sprinting at your target, then striking it with your weapon, it will propel the target flying back, enabling you unscathed in that encounter and allowing you first strike consecutively. The same can be achieved with the knockback enchantment and is very effective at eliminating creepers, as the distance to you determines whether they should engorge themselves into the dangerous state of detonation. However, when employing this tactic against ranged enemies such as the skeleton and ghast, they might take this opportunity for some long-ranged reprisal. While there are only a couple available weapons in the game, they are nonetheless important, with the sword being the quickest and easiest to build, as well as the best weapon in close proximity encounters. Getting close to your opponent is a core stratagem, as is evading unfavorable circumstances. Knowing the effective range is vital, as swinging too early might result in a miss, leaving you vulnerable. Catching your opponent off guard with the wrong tool in hand will ensure that every fight be in your favor. And should you both be equipped with swords, the material makes all the difference. Whilst on a level playing field, the smarter combatant will be the victor of all the spoils that the loser leaves behind. And with permadeath in Minecraft, this can be quite the costly outcome, should you prove to be outmatched. But with the right implementation, and a level head when it comes to survival of the fittest, the sword will ensure that you make the cut. Thank you for watching. This has been XboxAhoy. Join me next week where I'll be covering the long-ranged approach to combat, the bow and arrow. Until then, farewell.